Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And this is Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news,
Recent indie releases,
and everyone's favorite segment, Pixel Panel.
Thank you for listening. Let's get started with some Play Jam 3 results. We don't have a whole lot of news, but this was a big one.
Which means we are in our boobity boop news and notes section.
That's right. Did you guys get a chance to play any of the Play Jam 3 finished products? Okay, so Possibly Axolotl has hosted, this is his third Play Jam, and there were initially 250 registered applicants. And,
wow.
I don't know how that all worked out. I didn't mention my Playdate was bricked for quite a while the past couple weeks during the Play Jam weekend. And so I don't know how much we talk about that. One of the games we'll mention in the indie inventory was a game called Heavy Drinker, and it had an issue where it sort of like bricked your Playdate. It wasn't just mine; it was several people, where it would get stuck on the dashboard. It would load the dashboard, and it would go to the open unwrapping page, and then it would just reset. It would crash at that screen. And I had uploaded one of the Play Jam 3 games, and I thought, well, it's got to be the Play Jam game because that's not like on itch. It's just a rough beta. It's got to be that game. So I was texting the dev and like, hey, your game's making my Playdate crash. And he's the one who found out, no, it's this other game. And it just happened. Those are the two games I was sideloading at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And we found on the Playdate forums, dev forums, that it was Heavy Drinker, that the problem. Somebody else had the same problem with Heavy Drinker. And so I got on the Playdate Squad Discord, and a couple of us were messaging, hey, we're having the same problem. What do we do? And then Cable got involved, asking to send crash logs and whatnot. And you guys know I'm not very handy with computers, especially Nick knows this. So I didn't really know what to do, because you turn it on, it just turns itself off right away. I would push the little reset button. Didn't help at all. There was no way to access any settings on the Playdate. The Playdate didn't do anything except turn itself on, then turn itself back off. And the little LED button that turns on to tell you, hey, you have a new game or whatever, was just like lit up brighter than the sun all the time. And so I had to stick it in a drawer to keep me up at night. It was so bright. It was ridiculous.
Wow. Huh.
Emergency repair procedure number 2.
Yeah.
Put in drawer.
Yeah. And so one of some other dev, and I'm sorry I don't have this up anymore, but some other dev had that actually knows what they're doing, that had the problem in the dev forums. He had like this whole list of steps that he went through on how to fix it. And so I just kind of I had a really busy weekend, I think, at the time. I forget what was going on. But I finally found time to work it out. You guys have kids, so like the last week of school, the schools decide you have to do something constantly every single day for some reason, randomly. Every night.
Dad laughter.
Yes. And so it was the last week of school and whatnot. So anyway, I finally found time. I plugged it in to my PC and went into the SDK and just started picking it apart. And it really wasn't that difficult. I just felt very unprepared and unknowledgeable about the process. And I appreciate Nick. Nick said, hey, I'll help you, walk your way through it if you need it to. So thank you, Nick, for that.
I said, forget about it.
Nick, yeah, Ryan told me to pack sand. But just following the steps, it did kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still resetting itself, but somebody said just leave it and see if it, I guess every 8 hours or something, our Playdates ping a server to see if there's an update.
Yeah.
And so I just left it for 2 days and just let it do that pinging on its own, and just leaving it worked. And so Dylan Warren, who is Ledbetter, the dev of Art 7, he was also messaging me a lot because he had a game in the Play Jam he wanted me to try too. So he was kind of involved. So I appreciate his help as well. He's like, so you just did nothing and it fixed itself? And in a way, I did. Once I got to a certain point, I didn't really want to wipe the whole thing back to factory nothing, because we do the podcast, and I have all these save files and all this stuff on there. So I didn't go to that step the way that the dev on the dev forums did. And yeah, pinging it, I guess, fixed it because it seems to work now. And I've been playing stuff. I played the game we're playing for Pixel Panel, and that was a fairly long game, and it worked. And I ended up playing all these Play Jam games. I tested all of them.
You played 250 Play Jam games?
Oh, there were 18 entries, and I think I played like the 15 that I could sideload or whatever it was. About a dozen of them did work on the Playdate itself.
Okay.
And I played all those. So I guess it works. Now my clock or whatever, I've never had it on this clock, like an analog clock. I've always had it be writing, and I'm afraid to change it. I guess I could change it. So there is some stuff, like it had me put in my Wi-Fi password several times. That's the only weird thing. And I had to go through the like intro screen a couple times, and I got to where I was just skipping that. But that was like a week ago.
Huh.
Anyway,
have you been playing and it's been working since, like in the past week, or have you not been playing much?
I've been playing it a lot, yeah, but I will note that the game that we are doing for Pixel Panel is a game that you cannot quit out of and save. So I've been playing one game basically this whole week, but when I was playing the Play Jam 3 games, I was, quitting out of those, and it was fine. Anyway, so knock on wood.
Well, Ryan, I'm going to point out, I pointed this out in our Discord, but the problem was that the file name which is generated when you sideload through the website contains the word boops.
Yes.
And I've just got to say, Ryan, what have you done?
Well, my retort to this is, I'm not sure if you remember a month ago when we all talked last, but Nick had a brilliant idea about programming a bug into the games. So thanks for planting that seed, Nicholas P. Baldridge.
Well, I appreciate it, Dev of Heavy Drinker, including the word boops in there. You gave me a handy scapegoat. And now Ryan's trying to turn this against me. But we all know the real villain here is the word boops.
He's right.
Yeah. We get it. The mastermind. Yeah, but the problem was that it overflowed the value, the maximum length of the PDX file name. So the file name that it chose through the sideloading website is user.50181.pulp.intellicat.geos beeps and boops bitflung.heavydrinker 2023426.pdx.
I'll see they had some beeps in there. We don't do beeps. We just do boops.
Well,
your arch nemesis, the beeps.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the limit was it 72 characters or 54 characters? I forget. It was something like that, but it was 54 and this one was 72. Either way, we found the limit, and it exceeded the limit.
Yeah. The nice thing too is that I would assume that the bitness of that value can be increased to prevent this kind of crash, or it can be restricted on the sideloading website. Either way. So if Cable was involved, perhaps that's already happened or is in the works.
Maybe it was Nevin.
Or Nevin. Yeah. Either or.
They don't have like Bob and Dave names, and I'm sorry. The one with the red avatar, not the yellow avatar. It was a user pick. It was the red avatar guy.
All right.
Yeah. I'm on the ball.
Whatever official Panic representation.
Yes,
my point was that it seems like it's on their radar, if nothing else.
Okay.
So cool that somebody got involved, whoever it was, and also cool that Panic has developed something that will fix itself if you leave it alone. Like, that's insane to my tiny artist brain.
You had to remove it from the sideload website, right?
Yeah, I had to delete it there, and I deleted it from my Playdate
locally
when I was in. Yeah.
So when it pinged, it cleaned it up.
Okay.
Because
I did several steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you just tossed it in the drawer when it got too bright, and then you came back and everything was better.
I did several
were a couple
steps,
things.
and then
Yeah.
I did one step short of deleting the whole thing. Was leave it alone and see if it
Okay.
repairs whatever the link was. And I
Okay.
looked at my direct messages. It was Devin. So I'm sorry, Cable had no involvement in this.
I was going to say that sounds like it might not be a cable issue, but still interesting. Cool. Thanks, Nevin. You rock.
Yes, Nevin for president. Also, we forgot to mention. Thank you, Julia. Is it Minamata?
That's right.
Thank you, Ryan and Julia, for producing our last episode, interview number 4. So check that out in our show feed. It was a really good episode. So thank you, Ryan, for putting that together, and it was really entertaining. She was involved in the production of Recommendation Dog, which is free on the Playdate catalog right now. So listen to the episode and play the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was really excited to chat with Julia about Recommendation Dog in more of an art capacity. You know, I'm sort of the artist of the show, and we heard for those who haven't tuned in to the past 31 episodes, just getting you up to speed. So we heard from Julia in little bits and pieces on the official Playdate podcast when they talked about Recommendation Dog, but I had a lot more questions for her, and she did not disappoint. And not only did she talk about Recommendation Dog for the Playdate, but also her development of a point-and-click adventure game called The Crimson Diamond. My gosh, thank you. So anyway, Don, thank you for the thank you. It was a pleasure chatting with Julia, and maybe she'll do more Playdate games. If you listened into it, there were some potential development things she mentioned, so we'll see what happens. But yeah,
I'd love to see more work from her. It was really cool to see like her get into the minutia of Recommendation Dog, because like the little things that stuck out, they're like, oh, this is a really, really cool idea they used, or really cool, I don't know, tiny little element of this game you guys got into, and it was like, oh, this is where that came into fruition. So that was fun.
Yeah, and even like the number of I don't know what you would call it, profile pictures of different recommended folks, like, was near a couple hundred. I think it was like 170, 180 something different profile pictures. Like, that blew my mind. I couldn't believe there were that many potentially recommended images for folks. But yeah, it sounded like a ton of work went into it, but it was also really interesting to hear about how they managed the scope of the project to keep it within a 6-month development time frame. Really cool.
Fun listen. Hope to hear more of those.
Yeah.
Not me, from somebody else. Just getting back, and this kind of ties into indie inventory, because a lot of these Playjam games are available, but I wanted to congratulate Toad, Totally Under Control, for, I guess, winning, quote-unquote, Playjam 3 with Discovery. Was the number 1 ranked game in Playjam 3.
Nice.
And I highly recommend giving this a shot. It's basically, it's like a block of dirt, and you're like wiping it off and digging, and you're looking up fossils. It's like a little fossil hunting game. It's really fun.
That sounds really cool, especially for a dad with a young kid who, occasionally I'll hear about paleontology interests. That sounds like it would be a really fun game to hand off to a younger person too.
Slap it on your Playdate and have them give it a shot. It works really well, and it uses the crank and stuff, and it uses the D-pad, and it's pretty cool. I know you like Digicarat, the people that did that minecart game.
Yes, and I do like me some minecart.
They use similar assets to create Sight Blight, and Nick, this one has legs. It reminded me of some of the games we loved in the WarioWare series. But basically, you're blocking like these eyes. You're trying to walk people past this eye, and you're.
I was just looking at that one.
Yeah, it's really fun. It gets a lot more complex than you would expect this type of game. And in a similar vein, Beat Fish, a rhythm game from Pizza Fuel, Lo-Fi Boy, and Austin Petillo. I know you love rhythm games, Nick.
Yeah,
give it a go.
Side loaded. Ready to go.
All right, awesome.
Hey, quick question. I have not looked into the Playjam too much or at all because I've been out of the state for the past week or so. But I do have a question, Don. are there rules or restrictions against the number of developers that can be on a single game during the play jam time? Like, is it restricted to one, or can you have 50 people on a team to develop a game? It just has to be done in a particular amount of time, or do you know?
I would assume you could have 50 people, but yeah, you just got to submit one project.
It'd be really difficult to work together with 50 people in a weekend in order to produce something of value.
That was an example, but more people is my
There's
question.
some of the teams I think are like 3 to 5 people.
Okay.
I was seeing. So
all right. Okay.
Almost all of the ones here are one person, but that the one with Pizza Fuel, what was it? Beatfish Prototype.
Beatfish?
Yeah, that was 3.
Yeah, that's what piqued my interest. I assumed that all the Play Jam games were done by a single person, and that was the first I'd heard of multiple developers working on a single game. So I was kind of curious. Anyway,
well, like somebody did the music, somebody did the coding, and somebody did the art. I want to say.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. That was Pizza Fuel.
Yeah.
Another one I really wanted to point out was called Hidden by Pixel Ghost. And that one I didn't know what it was about, but it was really poignant. I would encourage everyone to check out Hidden. I would say even if you only play one game from the Play Jam, check out Hidden. It takes less than 5 minutes to play. It's not what you think it will be, or it's not. It was unexpected when I played it, but it left a lasting impression. So.
Even just the description from the itch page had me very intrigued. Of course, Don's recommendation sent me there, but I would also highly suggest at least taking a look at the itch page, and then I think you'll probably be interested in side loading at that point. But yeah, great recommendation, Don.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't know that it was a Pixel Ghost game until I went to go score stuff, but then I was like, oh well, that makes sense. He usually puts something that makes you kind of look at our world in his games, even the more fun, lighthearted games. It's like, oh yeah, this is something we should take another look at. There's a new Ledbetter game in here, which is just Chapter 1, Dog Nose Chapter 1, The Dame. It's kind of a noir detective game with cyberpunk leanings, which is pretty cool. I want to see more from that. I don't know. There's a lot of cool games in here, so I'll post the results page, and then you can get to each game from there. But it also shows kind of where they were ranked overall, use of console, creativity, and fun. So it's really cool the way this worked out. So big props to possibly Axolotl for his excellent work compiling this all and putting it all together. So very cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a ton of work. So nice job. And get to work on Play Jam 4.
Congratulations to all the creators that were able to put a game together and get that submitted. That's a lot of work in a very short period of time.
Yes.
So it's very impressive to me how the participation in these continues to grow and grow. And the management of that is difficult too. So congratulations to everybody. Keep it up.
And coming like on it was Mother's Day weekend, but it was also the weekend of the biggest game release probably of the last several years. It was the weekend Zelda came out. And I mean, to have all these amazing games at once, it was like, ooh, big get.
Yeah.
So. Cool. So does that wrap up the Play Jam 3 results? I ask only because I typically prematurely move us to the next segment. Don, are we ready?
We're ready.
Boop. Indie inventory coming at you. Back to you, Don.
Yeah, we got
that was more than 72 characters. Can you back that up?
Gotta limit your boops. We got a few games here we've backed up over the past couple of weeks, but don't forget to review and like and rank all your games. When you download something, leave it a review. Click on the stars. It really helps all the devs get seen in the itch store. So first I want to mentioning the itch store, but we missed the last 2 catalog drops. So we'll just run through those real quick. First up, the top of the page is a big banner for Generations by Scenic Route Software. It was my game of the year last year, so check that out. It's got all kinds of polish and extra features and whatnot added to this new catalog version, so check that out. You've also got Loopsy, Necro Crisis, Castle Helios, Along Came a Spider, Post Hero, Legend of Etod. I think that's going to be all 3 chapters of Legend of Etod. Time from Earth, Spike 2, The Great Emo War. All of those were added in the past 2 weeks. All fantastic games. So give your catalog tab a look on your Playdate device.
And by the time you are listening to this, there should be another catalog drop. So hit that lit up button on your Playdate and see what else is available in catalog.
We've been chasing our tail on catalog drops for like 1 month and a half now.
You're right. Don't sweat it. Next episode you guys are listening to, we'll tell you about the ones that came out today. It'll be just fine.
We're on it. It's a summer. We're relaxed here. Yeah. Okay, so other new games. Halfway to Dawn by Cyberleaf. Looks super cool. This looks right up Nick's alley. It's a short cinematic horror themed game for the Playdate. It's $5 right now. It looks like a mix of Resident Evil and I don't know, a top-down shooter, I guess. I don't know. It looks really polished and really cool. So, Nick,
and anyway, if you want the conclusion to this game, just tune into this podcast where you can catch all the way to Dawn. Dawn, back to you.
All the way to Dawn. Yeah, I thought you meant DON Dawn me, but
yeah, I did.
Oh.
That was a joke. Very dad-esque.
Can you explain the entire joke, please?
Okay.
Just break it down. This is halfway to DAWN. I guess I should have spelled that out. Wow. Okay. From Jamote, we have Mio Plus is out. We talked about it on the last podcast, Name Your Price, but it is all the way out. You play with a boomerang mustache. It is a SMB demake. We will not get too into that, but check it out. And again, name your own price. From Drew Virus, F Out is a top-down racer. We have not seen many racing games, if any, on the Playdate. Are there any others that are actually out right now?
I don't think so.
I don't know, but this is giving me heavy RC Pro-Am vibes. Yes! Oh my gosh!
Nice.
I know this is a spaceship game, but man, the animations, the top-down, it's sort of like a slightly isometric view of it. Man, this really...
Even the little speed arrows.
Yeah. True. And there's only like 3 power-ups you can get. It looks like maybe I'm just reading these GIFs too quickly, but yeah, wow. I have all kinds of good vibes from RC Pro-Am. I need to go download this.
It looks pretty sweet. Yeah. I mean, even having the little mini map in the corner is pretty great.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Neat.
There's even a time trial mode. So, it looks like there's quite a bit of meat on this package for $5.
2 game modes, 6 tracks, 9 ships. What? My land.
A lot of game here for $5. Yeah,
I'll say.
So nice. Check that one out. Yeah.
Whoever did this.
Heavy Drinker from IntelliCat. This is the game we talked about earlier. It has been fixed. The issue of crashing and restarting has been addressed, along with other minor tweaks. It says
have you reinstalled it, Don? Are you ready for that?
I have not. I have not rocked it on this one, but it said it's all good to go. I will try it. I mean, look at the screenshots. It looks really cool. I don't know. It reminds me of Adventure mixed with. I think it says Atari 2600 right on it, but it's got like some Commodore 64 vibes on there, and I don't know, it reminds me of my youth. A little, what was that Goofy game on Commodore 64? It's like Goofy's Matterhorn Adventure or whatever. Do you remember that, Nick?
No.
Oh.
It's a Sierra game, I assume.
I assume so. Anyway, this bottom screen kind of reminds me of that. Oh, it looks really cool. I don't know. I want to get back to it because it looks awesome, but...
It does.
Sound and music by Beeps and Boops. That's the problem. They need music into like...
Anyway. Too many beeps. They've discovered an undesirable mixture. I was not going to mention this publicly, but if you mix the beeps and the boops, anyway. The next game, let's talk about that one. It's called Tochi Tuner. I have no idea, but this is a revisit of the original Tochi Tochi one, done for its first anniversary, set in a dungeon filled with enemies that will attack you without a second thought. This looks great. I, as you know, enjoyed the first Tochi. I have no idea what T.U.N.R
Totally
means.
unnecessary remake.
Is that? Oh, thank you, Don. Fantastic. Now I understand. Why did that take me so long? Anyway, always want more Tochi in my life. Thank you for putting this out, SN Studios. I've got to sideload this ASAP.
Yeah, we need a review, Ryan.
Guess what's coming up for Ryan's Pixel panel in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whenever that is.
So that one is Name Your Own Price. And that's it. That's our Pixel panel. I mean, that's our inventory.
That's yeah. Jumping the gun here, Don, because now it's time for our Pixel panel. Boop.
Our Pixel panel this week, wow, that was stupendous. That was a one boop. It threw me off. Is a game called The Keyper, Keyper, from Cool Lemon Club. I'm going to read a little about here. It's a narrative exploration game. Many secrets lie behind many doors of a building older than the city itself. The Keyper is an adventure game where you play as the new caretaker of the Winchester 21 building after the previous one mysteriously disappeared. So, yeah, basically, you wander around, you collect keys, and you explore this giant apartment building kind of thing. Apartments and more, I should say. There's lots of mysteries to discover in Winchester 21 in The Keyper. So, what did you guys think of The Keyper? Should we start with...
do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, it's a fun adventure game, and essentially you're able to unlock one puzzle at a time, and quite literally unlock with the use of keys. There's a few different things that you can attempt to attack at any given moment, but it becomes more difficult to manage, or at least I had to. Well, we'll get into how I needed to approach this, but the game is interesting in that it does try to steer you in particular directions, but it depends on who you're talking to and at what phase of the moon happens to be going on.
What?
Not actually. When you complete different puzzles, different people might have different things to say. It's your typical adventure game.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is very lengthy. It's very large. The map is even larger than you can possibly imagine. Yeah. And all kinds of twists and turns are involved, and it is very hard for the directionally challenged like myself to keep it all in my head. But anyway, Ryan, what did you think?
Oh, I had a wonderful time with this game. I think that by calling it just another adventure game is grossly underselling it.
I didn't say just another adventure game.
I think you said something to that effect. We'll listen back to the audio. Regardless, I have very good feelings about this from a wild number of points, from the mood it establishes. You know, you're making your way through this gigantic apartment building. The music is rocking. I really love the tunes that they had going on here. You get into some subterranean levels and it sort of like garbles and waters out on you, getting a little muffled, appropriately so. It felt mysterious. You go through various passages, and as Nick alluded to, there is a lot to make your way through. And I thought it did a wonderful job of taking me right to the brink of throwing up my hands. Like, this is too big for me. This is too much to keep track of. I don't know if I can do this. And okay, just going to try a little bit more. And then something else would open up for me and I'd be able to make my way along some more. There were a number of those points for me as I was playing, especially because Don sold me a bill of goods when we got this game and said, "Oh yeah, this is like a 20-minute play," and I'm in like hour 2.5. Like, what is wrong with me? But I really enjoyed the mystery, the vibe, the feeling of this game, and I have lots of good feelings about it. Don, what did you think about your chosen pixel panel game?
Yeah, so I picked this game, and I picked it after playing like 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I unlocked most of the apartments, and like, I'm pretty close to the end, and it's like cute. I'm having fun with it. So, and I thought I had read that it was 20 minutes long, and so I'm like, I got to be near the end, and the guys will like this one. And I felt this pressure from Ryan to pick a game right then.
He's always doing that.
Yeah, and I had this one in the back of my mind, like, okay, I'll just pick Keyper because that's like, I know that, like, I was thinking Soothsayer was long, Art 8 was long, so I was like, all right, I'll just pick Keyper. I know that's short, and we have so much going on. I'll pick a short game. And then the next thing I know, Ryan's like, hey, I beat the game. It took me 4 hours. I was like, what the hell? I don't have 4 hours, man. Like, what are you talking about? And so then I felt really bad because I know Nick doesn't have 4 hours either, and I felt bad that Ryan took so long. And I was like, man, all right, so next week I'll spend an hour a day playing this. But Ryan, the thing Nick and I were talking about behind your back is that there's a walkthrough on the itch page, bro.
What now?
There's a walkthrough. So I played it it still took me, using the walkthrough, it took me probably an hour and a half, I think, or an hour 40 minutes.
Oh, what in the world? There it is.
Yeah.
It only took me 40 minutes with the walkthrough.
Oh, you cheaters.
That shocks me that Nick got through it so fast. So Nick's point, talking about it was difficult to navigate. I'm pretty good at navigating games, and I kept forgetting there are 2 areas you have to revisit several times. There's a lift and a rat you have to talk to. You have to return to several times, and I just kept forgetting how to get back to them from different areas. And so I would just be wandering around trying to get back to those 2 areas a lot. And I spent a lot of time, even with the walkthrough, I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out how to get back to those.
This walkthrough is thorough. I'm looking at it right now. This is really
thorough. Like the first half is very thorough. The second half not as thorough.
Is that right? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, there is a ton of work on this walkthrough. This is I have not seen this level of detail in a walkthrough before. So very cool. Cool Lemon Club.
It's very thorough. Yeah. I would have been happy to share this with you, but you're flying through it.
All right. Next time, I'm sure.
So
Ryan,
anyway,
it's getting the Wi-Fi on the plane or whatever, and it's like, this game is like 3 hours long. I'm on hour 3. It's still going.
To be fair, I did not know about the walkthrough until I went to play it this past week. Like, I didn't know until you were done with it.
I want to thank Don for finding that walkthrough. I don't know that I would have had 4 hours.
I told Nick right away, like, hey, dude, I done the walkthrough. Like,
oh my gosh.
Don't wait until, and P.S. Thank you, Ryan, for telling us it was very long, because Nick would have waited until like an hour ago.
The last second. Right.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Anyway, not that, all of that to say that it was not a bad game and like, oh, it's not worth playing.
No,
because it's not 20 minutes long. It's good. It's just I'm typically not interested in playing a 4-hour game on a Playdate.
My only gripe with the length of it was that there's no save system.
Yes, but I messaged the dev, and he said we will give very exciting news in the next few days, and among other amazing stuff, we'll add a save system really soon.
Yay! Okay,
and that was 3 days ago. He said that.
That's very cool. And just in case you do download the existing version, you can keep playing after you turn your Playdate off. You just can't exit out to the menu and play another game and then come back. So there's something in the meantime until that exciting news gets announced officially from the dev. You've got something. So
yes,
So I have some more thoughts about this game and how much you guys cheated. No, I'm just kidding. I have a couple of critiques about the game that I would like to
Mhm.
mention. I don't know if it's time for this. I always feel very inhibited about this, like I'm jumping the gun. Don has
Should we
ideas
not?
about how the show should go.
Well, should we not jump the gun? Can we talk about other stuff we liked? Because there are other things
Yeah.
I liked that I'd like to mention.
Let's hear
Yeah,
it.
go for it, Don.
A couple things is that it was all made in pulp, but I felt like sort of the range in facial animations went way further than I've seen in pulp games. Like
Yeah.
there are characters that cry and you can see tears coming down their faces. There was one that I think they were either doing a side eye or smiling or something. Like I saw like a facial animation when they were looking side to side or something that was really cute and like telling beyond typical kind of pulp stuff. These aren't the like rigid pulp characters that you're used to seeing. There's a sunset scene without giving too much away that like looked really cool, and there were several scenes like that where like, oh, this is really interesting, and it reminded me of Island by Ron Lent. Like he got a lot of range out of pulp that some other games just don't extend themselves to, and there are opportunities in this game that take advantage of what pulp's built for. That I didn't expect out of. I just thought I was going to be dicking around in an apartment building collecting keys. I didn't expect this game to go the places that it goes, and we'll talk about spoilers maybe in a little bit. But it does some really cool stuff with that. There's more animation and more range in locations than I expected out of a pulp game and out of this game.
Did you know that Cool Lemon Club got the dialogue font from Ron Lent?
I saw that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to point out that I think was a really cool and interesting sort of pushing beyond the typical pulp aesthetic was that a number of the screens had different types of vantage points. Like I think we're used to seeing that sort of top-down approach for pulp games, but there was top-down, there was side profile view, there was even some like minor sort of isometric views in a couple instances, like where you can see the building going back in space. So again, just to drive Don's point home, I think there was a considerable visual range in this game, especially for being a pulp game.
And if a pixel is out of place, it's intentional. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Like it's very deliberate. Each pixel is very deliberate. And so if something is a little off, it means it should probably be interacted with, or there's something, it's going to come back to it, which was telling.
One of the things that I always tell people is that any game design, everything is deliberate. You know, the way the sound interacts, the way the person interacts with the game.
The way it bricks Don's Playdate.
Yeah, the way it bricks Don's Playdate. That's all pre-planned. So this is like the exemplar of that idea, because every single way that the user interacts with the game has been pre-planned to the nine. So all the different movement types that Ryan was mentioning, perspective types, but also there's types of areas that you traverse, like you might be in a wall or climbing a tower or in the sewer, you know, underneath the apartment building. There are so many different areas that you go through, and it's all built in such a way that every move that you make feeds into this aesthetic choice. Like the thing that sticks out, just looking at the itch page right now, one of the GIFs is climbing the tower. That one kind of blew my mind while I was doing it. I thought it was such a cool technique for pulp, because you both ascend and descend this tower, but it's based on if you've climbed all the way up or the direction that you're facing that ladder as you move. But it's very impressive, and the game is built to reinforce that particular movement type. So anyway, I think it's cool.
At first, I didn't get it. The first level, I didn't understand. I thought it was a glitch.
Same.
But then right away, I was like, "Oh no, I see what he's doing here."
Yep.
It only took a second to be like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, so I do like that it went as big as it did. This isn't typically my kind of game, but I know there are people that love this type of game, and there is a lot to love here. If you like searching every little thing and going back and forth and really, oh, well, this opens this apartment. Now I can explore over there, and that opens this little thread, and this I can chase threads over and over and over. If you like that type of game, there's a lot to like here, I think.
It's like a much, much larger Life's Too Short in that regard.
Much, much, much larger, yeah.
I felt really fortunate to have Don recommend this game when he did. It came at me at the perfect time because I had a cross-country plane flight to be on. And so I was, on a plane for several hours and, playing this 20-minute game. And when it kept expanding and expanding, it was I was in a rare instance where I wasn't rushing to pick up my son or trying to hammer out some artwork or do one of the millions of dad things that I'm doing. I was on my own and I could just focus on this thing in front of me, and it sort of took me back to my youth for like Dragon Warrior type games and exploring and figuring out what's in the landscape. And it felt really big. And it was also so lovely to have that time and space to dedicate to this without the walkthrough and just really experience it all, as I think it was probably intended to be, just this vast exploration. It's very cool. I do have some critical thoughts about it. I've sort of raved about this. You okay if I dive into this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the major thing that I wanted to mention, at least major in my mind, probably not major for most folks, but there was a room, I think it was on the second floor where you enter, and it's the boombox room. And there's a note that's left behind. And there's kind of this funny interaction between these neighboring apartments, which I thought was funny. But this note started out with a 4-letter word. And I think it was the only 4-letter word in the entire game. And outside of that, I kept thinking, man, I can't wait to share this with my son. And when I hit that, I'm like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer. If that were not in there, then the entire game would have been totally all ages friendly. But with that, first degree swear word thrown in there, it really makes me think twice about handing this to a younger player. So that felt like kind of a bummer. Like, it was pretty unnecessary in my eyes. Again, I could be bringing dad glasses to this, so take it for what it's worth. But that was my thought. Another critical thought I had about this game, and again, I super loved my time on this game. Another critical thought I had was occasionally when you move from one screen to the next, one room to the next, one door leads into another door, the orientation is very odd because you'll be entering from the bottom of a room and then your character would sort of switch around, like you'd expect to be shown at the top of the room if you enter from the bottom, right? But then the character would appear in a different place and I'd kind of be momentarily taken aback, like, oh, where is my character? He's not where I'm expecting the character to be. So it took a bit of searching, and some weird spatial relationship stuff happened very occasionally. And then my third minor critique of this game was that occasionally I found an entry and exit point within rooms, and I think it may have been within the lift, if I'm remembering correctly, like the secret lift, that you go in one spot, like you exit the lift, and then you go back in and you think you're going to go right back to where you were before, but then it's like a different room altogether when that doesn't really make sense. Did you guys find that as well? Like when you entered and exited a place, that occasionally if you entered and exited, you'd exit in a wildly different location?
Like the door wasn't the same door the second time you used it?
Yeah. So let's say, for instance, you. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was because it's been a couple weeks since I've played this now. But I think, let's say, for instance, you're on the 4th floor and you're entering into the secret lift, and then you exit the secret lift on 4th floor, and you're not in that same room anymore. That did not happen for you guys? It happened a number of times for me. Like it consistently happened for me.
So Don and I were playing version 1.1.
Same.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Maybe
Well,
you guys were walking through in a very deliberate way because of the walkthrough, whereas I was
probably
doing more exploratory.
moving sideways. Yeah, that was probably the deal.
It's possible. I mean, I felt like I was consistently lost and would have to like kind of find a certain junction to kind of reorient myself. So it's possible. I just felt like I was just like wandering more than I would typically would in a video game.
So I know I was making fun of myself for being directionally challenged, but actually I did not have any issue with navigation except for a couple of points. There are a few different mazes in the game, and they some of them feed to each other, so it can be kind of a challenge if you like get into one and you think you're heading out of it in a particular way and then you wind up in the other one. But it's nothing impossible or anything that you can't work your way through if you're a Nick. But yeah, I didn't have any real issues with like room jumping, like you're talking about. Perspective shift, yeah, I mean that's part of that's side effect of how everything is placed in this game. So I can understand that being confusing. Like kind of the poster child for this is the original Resident Evil, those games.
Mm-hmm.
As you're moving through a room, and these are in 3-dimensional space, right? The camera will jump in front of you, so then all of a sudden you're running backwards. So it's not to that degree, the confusion, but it's but yeah, it is something that can happen. But that said, there are a lot of examples of this in different games, either intentionally or unintentionally disorienting the player as a technique. So going all the way back to Colossal Cave Adventure. So there's an area in there, a particular maze, where you can't tell which direction is north, south, east, and west until you've explored that entire maze area, or the majority of it, or stumbled your way through. Anyway, so yeah, I see where you're coming from with those, and especially if you're getting room jumping. That it sounds like a bug, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like a bug. I never got the feeling that it was doing that on purpose, what Ryan's describing.
Right.
Yeah, when it started happening to me, I felt the same way, but after 4 hours of exploring this place, I was feeling pretty confident about where things were. And I could tell, like, oh, I should be back here, but it consistently sends me back to this other room. Even though I just came out of, room A, it would send me back to room B. It was very strange. Anyway, I did want to ask you guys about something that I hope isn't too spoilery. Actually, I don't care, but maybe you guys will. There's one particular puzzle where it's a lights off room. Did you guys get to that?
Yeah.
I thought that was such a cool room that took me quite a while to figure out, but allowed me to sort of like shove my way through, but get confused and then come back and then find it again. And it took me a while to figure out that you could turn on the lights if you do some particular things in this room. I won't spoil that, but and then once I did and everything lit up, I'm like, of course, yes, that's where I was getting hung up. Oh, that's what was happening there. I just thought that was such a cool puzzle thrown in, and it was all on one screen. I mean, this
Mhm.
whole game shows just countless screens making your way through this maze of a building, but then to have this one very intense maze on a single screen was an interesting distillation of this maze element that's present in this game.
What,
Did you
what
guys
do you
have any?
mean turn on lights? Do you mean you just turn the buttons on, or was
Yeah.
there like it would light up part of the maze?
No,
No,
it lights up the whole room when
Yeah,
after
you.
you get them all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Uh-huh.
That's a cool
Yeah,
maze.
I did too. I thought it was more challenging than a similar gimmick in other games because
Mhm.
the sprite actually vanishes if you're moving north to south, because the only thing
Mhm.
visible is the eyes.
Right.
So if you're going north
Yep.
or up,
Uh-huh.
you can't see your character at all.
Yes.
So I had to keep on like running into a
Running.
wall sideways so that I could
Yes.
orient myself in the room.
And then you're not sure if you've actually moved
Right.
a sprite
Yeah.
sideways or if
So-
that's where you. Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that
Me
that kind of
too.
twist
Me
on
too.
that
Yeah.
mechanic. So, and I'm glad it was only one room. Like if that had
Yeah.
extended for 6 rooms or something, I would have been so sick of it.
Yeah.
But one room was like the perfect amount of time to spend with that.
I stand by my initial thought that this game took me right to the brink of throwing up my hands on a great number of occasions, but allowed me to make my way through it without doing so. Yeah, I really have some good feels about this game.
Yeah, props to you for finishing it, because I definitely would not have.
There were a couple
walkthrough.
points I would not have been able
No.
to figure out what was going on without the walkthrough. Yeah, so I'm super impressed.
Well, just take a cross-country plane flight and you're all set.
I don't know how
Yeah.
you found some of that stuff without a walkthrough.
Yeah. Some of that stuff is pretty you got to be right in the developer's head for some of those things. But I was curious, did you all find there was a big volume discrepancy with different things? Ryan mentioned this. There's like kind of a muffled portion, and that's expected. But particularly when you're talking to the rat, as you do in most Playdate games, I've noticed. When you get to the rat, the volume of the music ratchets up.
I think that's
it
on
feels
purpose.
like, I'm guessing it's on purpose, but I was playing beside Molly and she was like, wow, that is loud.
Rat
she was
and
like,
the Guru.
Yeah,
The music was
this
like very
game
different.
is like all clicks and then super loud, intense music in that one.
You know,
area.
I was listening on headphones in a
Mhm.
plane, so
Yeah.
I don't know if everything around me was just so loud I didn't notice, but I did not notice that. That's really funny.
So I was just using the Playdate speaker, and that's also a possibility. Is maybe through headphones it would have been different. The clicks would have still been there from pressing the D-pad. But,
I kind of liked it because I was like,
funny.
"Oh, good, I'm back on the rat. Like I'm on the right screen."
Yeah.
It was comforting at a certain point. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
on the right path.
Yeah, that was one
yeah.
of those maze anchors where you're like, okay, I know where I am now.
Yeah.
I feel like the map doesn't make sense. Like if you drew it out on a grid, it wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah.
I didn't like the West Key. I think I told Nick like I'm stuck at the West Key. Like I never found the basement corridor. That took me forever to find. But getting to the West Key wouldn't, like if I went left one screen, down one screen, and then right 2 screens and up 1 screen, there wasn't a way to make that movement to get to where the West Key was.
Yeah.
Like it didn't flow and make sense. So the building doesn't make sense. They're just like randomly rooms, I don't know, wherever.
Beyond the first couple floors. And that's part of the game's humor and charm is the way that it deals with that non-Euclidean space, the non-geometric shapes. And I thought that was super fun and funny and a neat way to make the game, expand beyond the confines of 4 walls, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I really appreciated about the humor, and you kind of brought it up with the West Key, is the naming of the keys. I thought was so fun once you get out of like the key for apartment 1A or whatever, and you get into kind of the oddly named keys. And then there's 4 pieces of the secret key and all these different things. I just thought that was pretty fun and clever. So
there's one criticism I want to make, and then if we could talk late game spoilers real quick, and then we just have a couple of minutes left. One thing I mentioned to Ryan before we really picked the game, I didn't like the concept of a landlord sneaking and peeking into apartments. And like in this game, it's fun, and I guess it's sort of that ludonarrative dissonance where like you can murder a million enemies to save one of your friends, and it's just like whatever, it's a video game. But I don't know, like when I initially started playing it, I was like, I don't know, I don't like you just sneak up between the walls and like peek into bedrooms and like just go through into apartments, and it only mentions
and nobody seems bothered.
Nobody cares at all. The only time
like,
it ever comes up is like if you peek into a bathroom or something, it's like, oh, that's kind of creepy or something like that. It makes some reference, but initially, like right away, I was like, I don't like just like popping into people's fireplaces or
living
whatever.
Spaces. Yeah.
I don't know.
You must be the new caretaker. Great to see you.
Yeah. Well, here's my key. I don't know. Did you guys that bother you, or is it just like whatever? It's a video game.
Yeah, but also it's a video game. So.
All right, whatever. Okay.
No, that's a valid point. I mean,
do we want to talk late game spoilers real quick? I'm curious to see like where Ryan's end of game was compared to.
I am very curious as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
if you haven't finished the game, spoilers from here out.
I was missing 2 keys, 1 apartment key and 1 special key when I completed the game. And I cannot tell you which keys those were because it was 2 weeks ago and I've since played a different game and I did not write it down.
Well, how do you know you finished the game? Like, what did it tell you?
So you're trying to make your way to, initially it says you're trying to make your way to the top of this building, and it's this very tall tower, and then you make it up there, and then it says, oh, well, look, there's another tower off in the distance. It's even taller than this one. That's where you're trying to get to. And then eventually you get to it, and then you find, like, okay, everybody knows these are spoilers. I'm like trying to think if I should say this or not. And then you find the retired or assumed dead prior Keyper. And, he sort of greets you up there and, you're sort of looking over the horizon and I forget exactly what happens at the end, but there's a definite, like, this is the end to the game. And I believe it also tells you if you want to go back and explore more to find anything else that you may have missed, you can, but like you finished the game. So that's what it said for me. Is that what you guys got?
Yeah, that's what I got. But I found all of the special keys. According to the walkthrough, I'm missing 1 key.
An apartment key or a special key?
I have all the keys, but I don't know where the special key goes. I don't know where it goes.
Right.
Do you know, Nick?
I'm in the same spot. No.
Okay.
I have everything, but I don't know how to use the special key. The special key is made up of a bunch of numbers. It's a number sequence. So there's something there, but I had to put it down at the time, that I got the ending. So,
I got a few. I think I got 3 of those numbers. Is that the one where you need 4?
Yeah.
That may have been my missing special key, or whatever the other category that's not apartment keys.
Did you get the name of the rat person?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's where you get the rarest key.
Well, I guess
gives you the last key.
Yeah, I got everything the rat had to give me. At that point, again, 4 hours in, I was like, I guess this is good enough. But I can potentially see myself coming back to this game and trying to 100% it. Because I really did enjoy the vibe, the experience, the getting lost. If I have the time, which I usually don't, but I did, it was really fun.
I'm sorry, did you find the dead body? That's where you get the last key.
Yes, I did.
Huh. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I still don't know where to use it, but I forgot to mention I did like the Ninja Turtle sewer swimming. That wasn't bad. Okay, I was hoping Ryan like blew the top off it and told us the extra secret.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint you. There were a couple missing things for me though.
No, it's okay. I'm still like when I would find certain things, even with the walkthrough, I was like, "How in the hell did Ryan do this?"
Lots of internal swearing.
Well, it'll tell you like walk past this thing, and I'm like, "What do you mean walk past this? How would he ever know to walk past this?" Like when you walk past the pipe tree, I was like, "Why would you walk past the pipe tree?" Mm-hmm. And then, can you turn the water off there? I tried to, and it told you not to.
There's a place where you turn the water off, but it's not right there.
Yeah, it's a little past it, right?
Yeah.
You can go past it, go up, and then there's like the...
Yeah.
Okay. It said like that would be really bad if you turn the water off.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I never...
Oh, yeah, not there. Not there. There's a different spot.
No, I'd never turn the water off. I don't think.
I'm conflating two different things. Okay. There's turning the water off and then fixing the pipes.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Sounded like we all end up in about the same spot. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Except one of us cheated a lot less than the others.
Well, dude. When I saw there was a walkthrough, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to use the walkthrough.
I would have too if I wasn't on a plane.
If you hadn't finished it, I would have told you about the walkthrough. But then I was like, oh, this is too funny. I got to save this.
Save that for the podcast. Thanks, guys.
Check those links in the itch description. There's also a soundtrack on YouTube. That's another link.
No way. Is there?
Yeah.
I was hoping for that. I want to listen to this music. It was such a jam.
Yeah, it was
original soundtrack now on YouTube. Oh, sweet. Oh, that makes me so excited. It says, we hope you enjoy it. I will. I'm going to click on this as soon as we're done.
Also, shout out to Cool Lemon Party for a great background on their itch page.
Yeah, that is really good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Excellent. Very cool. All right. I think that's our episode, guys. What do you think?
Yes. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Cool Lemon Club. And Nick, would you like to announce our next game?
Yes. My audio just... Oh, okay.
It's called drainpinball.com. No.
It's called Lunchtime by One Dan Band. So check that out. There will be a link in the show notes. And yeah.
A nice, tidy 6-hour playthrough.
All right. So if you want to keep up with us on the next episode, that's the one to do. But in the meantime, Don, take it away.
Check out our website, Playdate.podcast.com. Also, join us on Discord. There will be a link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
Bye.